And we're back. Jess is in the building. We've got a lot to discuss. Can she even hear me? Look, she's rude. She's never facing the camera. You see. Horrible lady. But anyway, somebody's got to do it. People deluded. I'm back again. Any questions, get them in. Jess is in the building. We are going to her platform after this. How you doing when you want to be nice?
You need to check your text messages.
You know what?
I just texted you. Look at your text messages.
Everyone's on to me like, oh, Jesse's trying to shout you. I'm like, no, she's not. I've replied
because you don't answer your text messages. It's bad. Did you get it?
What
time? Whatever time that you can do it if you can do it.
Oh, I got 5 aside, man. You're fucking up the base, Jess, man.
If you can't do it, don't worry. It's fine.
No, because then I feel guilty. I like to.
You need to be guilty. There's nothing to be guilty about. It's my fault.
Base people. She's a bad person. She's bad. Now I'm gonna look like a villain. That's why I wanted to do this earlier because I got 5 aside.
No problem. It's fine.
Horrible lady, man. Horrible lady. Oh, I don't know about no. She just said she's rescheduling. She's heading over to Mo's channel. She doesn't like me on her channel. You see? I always get moved. There's no consistency. It's cool. Treat me like Martinelli.
I didn't reach out. This show would never get done. Let's be real.
That's a lie. I've asked you to do a show way more than you've asked me. It's like 8-2.
It's not true, but all right.
Where do you want to start, man? We got a lot to discuss. We have to get into Madueke. Obviously, him as a player, all of the stuff in between, and all of that kind of stuff. And you're probably the best person for that regards because we probably share the same opinion of when it goes beyond just criticizing the player. But I want to ask you this: how's the broadly? How have you felt about our transfers so far?
Maybe like on Sunday, I started to feel really good about it. And then things slowed down with Gyökeres and things accelerated with Noni. And then I got nervous again. I think I feel very like, I'm like in between. I'm like, because it's very much like it could still be really, really good, or it could really end up being not so great. So I think I'm kind of on the fence about it right now. I think the deals that we've done to bolster the squad, or at least what we think we're going to get done, Kepa's already done. Norgard announced today. And then I guess allegedly we're still going to get Mascara. Those deals are fine, but I think we need to start moving into those bigger deals. I'd love to see Gyökeres get done sooner rather than later. It's worrying me now that it's like at like the stopping point right now, but it still has every opportunity to be the, unprecedented window that they said that it would be.
Goosebumps.
It's goosebumps, exactly. But you just never really know with Arsenal, because they've had some poor windows in the past. How do you feel about it? Like, are you optimistic, or are you like, yeah, they're gonna mess this up?
It might sound like a cop-out, Jess, but I just feel any optimism or any energy, I think it was left in the summer, and I think any little like scrapes that I had was left in January. It's kind of like how can I explain it? Because you did ask me. It's like you just serve up whatever you serve up in it. I'm not optimistic. I'm not pessimistic. It's just I'm accepting of everything. I personally feel, not that me in isolation is anybody, but I feel the club's got to earn my faith again. I'm sure a lot of fans do as well. Like, it's all fun and games. As you mentioned, it's not you saying it, but unprecedented summer. I said goosebumps, all of these kind of things. I need to see it. I share your sentiment in that. I think we need to do a lot this summer, innit? Like, we need starting 11 quality, people that raise the 11, and we need squad players. And we've done that, fair enough. Madueke could be that. We'll get into him. Obviously, you got Norgard, you got Kepa. The only one I'm bullish about is Zubamendi. Like, that's the only level raiser I've got. That, like my man said here, indifferent. Like, it genuinely is what it is. Like, it wouldn't surprise me what we do. It's dark.
Yeah, for sure. I think the whole Madueke thing throws so much confusion into the window, because just a couple of weeks ago it was Rodrygo. And now Rodrygo seemingly on the market, but we're about to drop 50 million on a player, and there's mixed messaging. Some people are saying that he's just for the right, and then other people are coming out and saying no, but he's actually for the left. So this uncertainty, I think, is what's driving people crazy. But I think at the beginning of the window, I was very clear about 2 level raising attackers, meaning the
Right.
striker and another attacker. I was preferred it to be the left wing, but now I've kind of sold myself on this Eze situation. Get those
Same.
things done, and I'm feeling good. Don't get those things done. If it ends up being the case that first day of the season, we're watching Ollie Watkins and Madueke start for Arsenal, not going to be a happy camper, so just get it done. You're so close to greatness, Arsenal. Please don't mess it up.
And we're fucking about at the worst possible time. And the one thing I'll say to the club, until September the 1st, I can be happy one day, sad the other, and then all the indifference beyond that. But at this moment, it don't look good. Like I'm not one that likes to watch what other people are doing, yeah. But maybe I'm a bit naive. I know you don't really like João Pedro, but for the fee that they got João Pedro isn't too far from Madueke. Kudus is going Spurs. They've been linked with Morgan Gibbs-White. Surely Kudus would have been a better option. Surely, even him. Then Madueke.
I mean, I don't know. We were interested in him before. I'm sure that if we had really put our hat in the ring, he would have preferred us over them. Maybe he just didn't really want to fight with Saka for a position. That's the only thing I can really think of. And to be honest, I wouldn't either. If I was a player, I'd be like, I'm not surprised Mbomo decided to go to Manchester United. Maybe Kudus knows that he's going to be a starter at Spurs. Madueke, maybe he's a little bit less concerned about having to fight for his position. I don't know, but I don't really know how to feel about Madueke because he's just not a player that since he's left PSV that I've thought much of. I think that he's quite inconsistent. He has some good, kind of raw elements, but they're still raw and he's 23. And I think his final action, the final pass and the final shot tends to leave a lot to be desired. So yeah, I don't know what Arsenal are thinking with this one. I really don't. It's so confusing. I don't think I've ever been more confused about a player. Do you see any reason why we'd be getting Madueke? Because I don't get it. I don't understand.
Chelsea know how we like to pay for players, innit? We're garbage hunting. I don't know, man. Madueke, I don't really want to draw you out. I'm open to being proved wrong. We see a lot of I don't know, Jess, but I just feel when we're linked with a player out of the blue like Madueke, some days go past and then you start seeing articles where, oh yeah, we wanted him last season, we like him, Arteta believes in him. Maybe that's the press putting stuff out. I think 50 million is a bit expensive especially in the attacking realm for people that are not going to take us to a next level. The only benefit I can see is maybe he's got a point to prove. Arteta wanted him. He's a backup for Saka. If he's going to play off the left, I might be wrong. Am I wrong for thinking Madueke, Martinelli, Trossard, it's 3 kind of peas of the same pod? We're just whichever one's in form will be the ones
definitely
playing.
Not lifting the levels at all with that group.
Exactly.
It's I think if he comes in and is a rotational option, I could just about take it. But he's not a starter at Arsenal. Not on the left or the right, so I don't really understand it, but we just have to see what happens at the end of the window.
Do you think he's an Arteta or Roberta signing? I got asked.
He's
I don't
100% a Mikel Arteta coded signing. Come on. Needs to fix him. Prem proven. Wants to maybe stick him in a different position so he could coach him up, Chelsea. That just gives Mikel I've never seen.
We've got potential that needs to be realized already, man.
Huh?
We've got players with potential that we haven't realized already. So my thing is, why add another one? The only thing I would say in Madueke's defense for me personally is, I know we might have looked at this the same way, but a bit differently if the Gyökereses, the Rodrygos, the Ezes of this world were here first. The only thing I'll give him is, I'll give you a chance, really. That's kind of it. And the only thing I'll give the club is, it depends what else you do beyond this point, because it's betting a lot of money for potential, and especially in the attacking ranks, which we all know it's just Saka. Saka's the only one that gives us anything close to consistency. We ain't got Gyökeres through the door just yet. And if he's going to be a left, all I can hope for, Jess, is that this is a masterstroke. Me and you, we're not coaches. Hopefully Arteta can prove why we're sitting here on YouTube and why he's a manager. Maybe this guy's got a point to prove. Personally, yeah. I don't even buy the fact of the squad player stuff, just because I know managers lie, but you're trying to go to the World Cup. The manager's probably told you you're going to feature a lot more in his plans than you. I don't think you're just going to be a squad player. You might deputize for Saka, but that left wing's going to be there for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it does reek of he's going to play more than maybe what we would want. I think, we just have to wait and see. I think I feel like we're only going to get 3 attackers. So
you really think we're getting 3?
Yeah, I do. I think we'll get Eze. Based on kind of reports today and stuff like that. I do think we will. It's cheaper. It's it's cheaper to get Eze and Madueke than going for Rodrygo. So yeah, I think we'll get 3. We're not getting 4, that's for sure. So if you get Madueke, we know which player is not coming. It's most likely Rodrygo is not coming.
I mean, we'll get into Rodrygo, but have you got any hope of that?
Of what?
Us signing Rodrygo.
I did before we started doing whatever we're doing with Madueke. I think he wants to go. Everything now is coming out that he's going to leave Real Madrid, which is what we were waiting on. But for some odd reason, we've started talking to Madueke. It's so strange that if Rodrygo was somebody that we're looking to get, and we knew that once they got out of Club World Cup, he might be available. Why are we doing this? It doesn't make sense, because I think I'm having in my mind that we have a certain budget and we're dangerously close to it. You're 50 million on Madueke, like the release clause, a part of the release clause on Eze, a lot of money on Gyökeres, a lot of money already down on Zubimendi. Where's this additional money coming from for Rodrygo? We're not selling anybody, so it's true. It's just giving missed opportunity, because if it was up to me, I would have waited for Rodrygo and seen if we can get that done, because I would have been very happy with the Rodrygo Gyökeres window and nothing else. But now it seems like they're trying to spread things across and do cheaper things, and it's giving me the ick. It's like Rodrygo's there, dude. Like, what are you doing?
Do you think we overrate Rodrygo, like fans? Because I'm hearing Alexis Sanchez level. I don't quite think he's the same level.
No, I don't think it's Alexis Sanchez level. I think that he can have an Alexis Sanchez impact on Arsenal. Those are 2 different things. I think somebody that's going to lift the level of this team is what we need. When Alexis came in, he showed us what levels really were. I think Ozil was probably the only other player on his level at the club at the time. And so Rodrygo comes in and he's instantly like, boom, this is the level we need to get to. Saka is the only other attacker that we would have that'd be anywhere near his level. I think it's more about an impact rather than he's the same level as Alexis, so I do think he could have that on us. But I think people are also trying to convince themselves that he's not that good because they don't think we're going to get him. I think they're protecting themselves. I mean, it's Rodrygo at the end of the day. I get that we beat Real Madrid and, so it's, but he's a top player. There's a reason why multiple top teams are going to be in for him, why Bayern are interested, why, Man City and PSG and us and probably others will be interested, and they're not interested in other players, because this is most likely, outside of Wirtz, going to end up being the biggest transfer saga of the summer. You don't get a big transfer saga if the guy is not good, so yeah, Liao's there. I don't see a line outside of Liao's door. I really don't, so I do think he's a really good player. Is he Alexis levels? No, but does he lift our levels where we're at right now? Hell yeah,
Facts.
Do you think he's overrated or what?
Pardon me?
Do you think he's overrated?
I think he is, because we're doing that thing with Arsenal fans. Like, we act like he can walk on water and turn water into wine. I think he's a good player, clearly. And I share all the sentiment you said. I think he lifts our level and everything, really. And I think one thing that I really wouldn't want to talk about with Rodrygo, because, Brazilian skills, all of that kind of stuff, I think his output would need to improve. But the one thing that would be beneficial is, out of him, definitely Vinicius and Mbappe yesterday, he'll work his socks off. He's on all of that stuff you need to do in the modern day, and that would work. I just think too many things need to fall into place. Do you feel anything's really changed with Better?
Yeah, I do. I think for the most part, you know, he's been able to pivot away from the number one option pretty quickly with the Gyökeres Sesko situation. I know that Gyökeres hasn't gotten over the line yet, but if this were Edu, I do feel like we'd still be unsure about what we're doing, and there'd still be, well, Sesko. But I think Berto is quick to like, okay, this isn't working. Let's move away from it. I also think he's very unlikely to overspend on things. I think sometimes Edu would just pay the fee. I know, I get this.
I hear you, but
yeah, no, I get this. But I do think you made a really good point earlier, and I think we all kind of know this, that even if it's 50 million with Chelsea, we're going to get really good terms. You know, if you spend 30 million on another player, but you need to pay almost all of it up front, that's different than paying $1 million up front for Noni in the beginning.
They're going to look after their best customer.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, I think that, you know, and he also went through different options as well. Like we did go for Mbomo first. We did look at Sane first. And I think we forget that because it was a long time ago.
That's a good point.
And now we've landed on this one, you know, but I do think that he doesn't necessarily want to overspend. He can get different options through the door quickly. You know, Norgard was done pretty quickly. We pivoted to Kepa pretty quickly. We pivoted to Gyökeres pretty quickly when it was, you know we couldn't get Sesko or we were priced out. So yeah, I think there's some differences, but I think the proof will be in the pudding at the end of the window. I think we'll know very clearly what we're looking at the end of the window. This is a massive one. There's a lot of plate spinning, as they're saying. And we'll see where he lands. Like, I do think I feel a difference, but ultimately, like, we have to see what happens at the end. What do you think?
I don't think you're wrong, Jess. But at the same time, though, I think I had a stream with Kenny Ken, and he said that he calls him open Gilberto in the sense that, you know, Madueke, maybe fair enough, we wanted him for a while now and options are falling into place. But we've based on what Chelsea are doing and looking to do and what we've been doing, like it just makes sense for us to go for him. Fair enough, Norgard, we pivoted quickly away from Partey, but that ain't really a difficult deal to do. Kind of piggybanking off Madueke, Kepa 5 million, easy to do. Like, I hear you, and you're not wrong, but being devil's advocate, is it really pivoting or is it just the same type?
I mean, Edu couldn't get a non-cup tie goalkeeper and brought in Sterling. You know, I think the bar is pretty low because we've been conditioned to believe that a sporting director is meant to be barbecuing for the entire summer and bringing us nothing, you know. So I get it that people are going to be extra harsh on Berta this summer, but we literally had Edu at the helm and he really left us. I mean, the last summer window was just so damaging to his reputation. You know, that I'm at least happy that on July, what are we on July 10th? You know, that we know we're in negotiations with certain players. We have certain players through the door already. There's some ambiguity on like how many attackers we're going to get, but you know, there's reports I saw just even like a minute ago that we're going to start going into finishing things with Gyökeres in the next 48 hours. Like Edu could never.
Let me not get excited. Let me just calm myself down.
Let me just say this. There's never been a window that Edu has had where I feel like he's been this far along at this stage. I think maybe the window where we got Kai and Rice, maybe, but outside of that, it was just Jesus. Like it was just like in that window.
Yeah, Zinni came in preseason.
Yeah, like to me, like this is completely different. He's having to actually do backup positions, backup goalkeeper, another center back, a DM. Also, Zubimendi was pretty much already done finishing that up, and then 2 or 3 attackers. Edu would be crumpled up in a corner trying to figure this shit out. You know, so
he probably went for Douglas. So I reckon if Edu was still here, we would have went for Douglas.
I'm so sick of that name, man. That's like that is just so circa 2022. You know, I love
him. You know,
I know you would. You like him. You like.
I think he will cook. I can't lie. Not as a regular and like you're just in the mix, but he does look shit at Juventus. Though I'm not gonna lie. Looks damaged.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what happened to him, but didn't he lose his girl too? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think he's went through hell in the last year or so, but Yeah, I mean, listen, proof will be in the pudding. Let's see where we are. Like another kind of like checkpoint when we get to the Asia tour where we're at. I think that's like the huge checkpoint of like, what do we have done by that point? But if we were to have Gyökeres done, and maybe this is going to be this child, I mean, maybe him too, then we're in a good position.
You felt sick. You didn't even believe when you said that with my man.
I don't get it. I really am like so confused more than anything because I'm just like, what do they see in him that I don't see? Now I did see Arsenal fans, you need to find some shame immediately. This whole Arteta's trying to do a Sane Rafinha. Stop immediately. This is not a Sane Rafinha thing. It's come on.
That's elite copium and hopium. Elite.
I'm not even. I love a little bit of copium, but even I would not partake in that nonsense.
Getting the whole jar and just do it moving mad.
Like, come on, this guy. I watched the Arsenal Vision scouting report on him, and there wasn't a single clean action.
I can't lie. I don't want to write him off, Jess. In fact, sorry, before I carry on with what I'm about to say, I've left this on there for time. Big up, Ramadan. Apologies. I don't understand Arsenal's method. It's like they only do groundwork during the actual windows and they look like they're standing still. I disagree, but I can't say that that's wrong based on what we're seeing. But for me, it's like he's so unpretty dribbling. It's just no. Like, it's just no. Like, I'm just not on it. Like, all I can say is prove me wrong, innit? Prove me wrong. Once you sign for the club, I'll give you an opportunity. What I would say, Mikel Arteta, I'm not defending the Cronkies, but when people sit here and say he's not been backed, you're spending 50 million when there's an air of pressure to deliver next season on unproven talent. And fair enough. If you've done everything you needed to do to improve our depth and 11 and you want some project players, great stuff, do it. I don't really want to play games in the attack. I wouldn't even mind if you got a young defender to flirt with and develop. I don't really want to play games. We banter all the time. I love Martinelli, but at the end of the day, I don't know if you're going to do the thing. I actually think people are quite harsh on Trossard. I don't know if you're going to be able to do it. I only really believe in Bukayo Saka and Ethan Nwaneri with a small asterisk on Kai Havertz and Marino. That's not enough if you want to win champs. That's not enough if you want to win Prems. It's nonsense.
I think what's like, when you look at like a team like Man City, we've always said that they have backups that cost them like 50 million. Remember, like we used to say that like a lot.
Now we do.
This is not it though. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, yeah, it's 50 million, but is he actually good? Because I've seen people say like, oh, if you want to compete, then you'll be spending 50 million on backups. And I'm like, yeah, but this guy is just like, I just cannot say without any, I don't know if he's good. Like, I don't think he is. Like, I don't know. Maybe
I'm sure it was you,
kit. Maybe
go on.
Maybe if he was coming straight from PSV, I'd feel different. Because I do like Bakayoko and I think they have some similar qualities, but
it would be cheaper. Grab him.
Yeah. I don't get it.
I think you said it as well. I can't remember the stream, but you said it. You was like, when we sign players, there's a lot of the time you're kind of squinting to find positives or something around him. Like, I don't think he's bad necessarily, but there's too much squinting and unanswered questions. Is he as bad as we're two questions in one? Is he as bad as we're actually making out? Are we coping because we don't want the player? And is it the case that he's 50 million, like, rather than anything?
I think there's several different things. It's if he came in after the other things, we'd be okay with it, or we'd be able to rationalize it a little bit more. I won't say okay, but I'll say we'd be able to rationalize it a little bit more. I think it's also the fee attached to it, not because it's our money, but because we know that traditionally when we spend a lot on a player, something else doesn't get done. Then it's the Chelsea of it all and the impact on, like, okay, we're taking one of their leftovers, a player that they don't want. They're closing the gap on us. And then what are they going to use that money for? So there's all of those things before we even get to whether or not Madueke is a good player or not, or what he can do for us. I think there's just too much, other things. But yeah, could we have not got somebody that's like young and up and coming without this blue?
Bro, 50 million gets you them dons at Monaco. Like, Monaco got a couple of these players that we could do with.
Yeah, for sure. Like, really would have preferred like Akliouche or somebody like that, you
I'm
know,
happy you said his name.
or
I can't pronounce it, but yeah, him. Who's
or
you are speaking of?
even Malik Fofana from Lyon. You know, there's other players that we could have gotten, but I don't want to say Arteta just in general, but like if Arsenal can find a Prem proven player, especially hanging around at Chelsea, they'll go after it, and it's just like, all right, you know, I think this is gonna. My gut is telling me he's gonna be underwhelming, and we're gonna see him more than we want to. But when's the last time that we brought in a player like this where there's been a lot of kind of like, oh my gosh, is he going to be good enough or not? And they've really outperformed expectation. I haven't really seen that
Probably
ever.
Ramsdale. I wouldn't even say to a degree Kai Havertz, but probably Ramsdale, as you said that. Because a
Yeah.
lot of people are like, well, back-to-back relegations and that. The one thing I would say to Madueke
Hmm.
is I think where Arsenal fans are divided, you know, we've got a lot of division in that. You're the one person which I think people were saying give Ramsdale a chance, give Havertz a chance. Everybody's onto you, like purely the same fans that are just
Yeah.
keeping it football, not going over the top. Nobody wants this. And if they do want it, it's not at 50 million, which all I can say is Arteta, show us why you're the manager and why we're just chatting shit on YouTube. I'm not on this. I can't see the upside beyond you being a body.
Yeah. I mean, he's just not somebody that I'm just so surprised that this is the direction in which we've gone with in this important window. Every window is important, but after the last window and January, it's kind of like, this is what we're doing. Like, come on, you know, and I can kind of overlook the, you know, attitude problems that they're talking about because I understand that, like, we don't always get the full picture. And sometimes players get, you know, tagged with these labels and it's not actually the truth or it's the environment. It's just, do we have to do this? And is he actually going to make us any better? And I can't say definitively that he doesn't do anything but fill in that Raheem Sterling position. And as bad as Raheem Sterling was, I can't necessarily say that I think Noni is going to add like just so much more. You know, I
Why
don't
do
know.
we even need to replace that as well? Because Sterling's role was non-existent. It was like the Reece Nelson role, really. Like you're not really involved. That's
Yeah,
what I mean. We're clutching.
I think because Saka got maybe the injury, you know, maybe that
Yeah.
scared the shit out of Arsenal, which it should have. You know, I think obviously, you know, sometimes injuries are, you know, they're just unfortunate, but I think it's been in the post for a while that maybe we've been using Saka like a bar of soap and losing somebody like that and then not being able to replicate even simple patterns up front maybe scared them. And so maybe it's a protection thing, but Arsenal want to make sure that they have a player that doesn't mean that they have to move a 17-year-old out of their preferred position to cover, because that's essentially what ended up happening. Arteta didn't trust Sterling enough, and so he ended up needing to put Ethan there. And Ethan
I'd
is
rather him get the minutes.
I'd rather him get the minutes as well, but we don't know what those conversations have looked like, you know? So
True.
we don't know if maybe the conversation with his agent and Ethan was, we like the minutes, but we wanted in his preferred position. Because there was at a certain point, Ethan was obviously doing amazing, but you could tell that he's just not a winger. So maybe there's a little bit of that. But again, there are just other players that you could have gone after. Maybe it's the wages with Madueke as well. It's like 50,000 pounds a week or something like that. I don't know, but he's just not good, you know? So I think that's what, he's not good. He may not be bad, but he ain't
Is not
good.
the answer.
So what? You know, this is just so confusing. So
No, I think you're right, man. Like, and that's the thing. I could see him put deputizing as a false nine. I get it. If this was 30 million and it was a body, great stuff. But like this is a signing, and I don't know how you feel. Yeah, this is a signing that tells me potentially there's not a pressure to deliver serious trophies. Now, granted, I'm jumping the gun a bit. I don't know what else we're gonna do in the market, but if it's all about the potential of tomorrow, like imagine a world where I know the Sesko stuff is kind of dead right now, but imagine you had Sesko and Madueke. That doesn't fill me with
woo,
goosebumps. That doesn't tell me about getting over the line. That doesn't tell me it's sink or swim. I
yeah,
actually feel sorry for every player that comes into this club in the summer because expectations on Gyökeres, expectations on Madueke. I believe Zubamendi will do it, but there's fireworks, so we'll have to see. I've left this question up here for a minute. Just would you be happy with Madueke, Eze, and Gyökeres?
um, um, happy.
That's the three attackers.
Yeah, I mean, yes, with an asterisk, on it, I feel. Because I am over the moon with the idea of Gyökeres and Eze, And if you just tacked on a Madueke, it's almost like it's not there. It's like, all right, whatever, but I do think that, as much as, because you know how I feel about Eze. I think people overthink things quite a bit.
Million
I don't
percent.
I don't think that he's like a traditional winger, but do I think he'd be dead out on the wing for us? No, he's a good player. Like, of course, he'll do well for us on the wing, even if that's not his natural position. But do I still want an actual winger? Yes. Maybe I'm just being greedy, but I guess I'd be happy with an asterisk, you know. Madueke is a body. I don't know. He just
You know what? Let me be fair. I'd be. I'd have to say I'd be happy in it. The only reason I wouldn't say I was happy is because we flirted with Rodrygo, but Madueke would be a body. Gyökeres, I'm gassed about. Everything you said about Eze, spot on. I don't know if Arteta on a consistent basis would want Eze and Miles Lewis-Skelly on that side because they're both inverting. But I don't know how everyone else feels, but because of this Madueke thing, I now need you to get Eze even more. Whether Eze is going to be the long-term left, exactly. Like, he's better than what we've got. He's probably better off the right than this guy. I need Eze. At least that tells me it's a statement, isn't it? Because right now, in my opinion, Martinelli's still starting off the left, give or take, with Trossard, which is not an improvement.
Yeah, for sure. I think, that ends up being like maybe the downer of that is like, according to reports, we never really know with Mikel what he's really thinking, but, he wants him to play as an attacking mid at Arsenal, which is the perfect thing, for him. We've talked about this for so long. We need that profile in midfield like we need air, seriously. But do I believe Arteta is going to start him on the wing consistently? No. So then that means Martinelli is going to be starting. So how much have we upgraded? No offense to Martinelli, but I think we went into this window wanting an upgrade, So yeah, that's probably the only thing. We've lifted the level of the squad, but there's still one gaping hole there. I do think Trossard might go though. I do think Trossard might go. I don't know what that necessarily means, but he's not going to stick around to be third choice in every position that he plays, is he? So, my goodness.
I gotta ask you, like, you throw in a couple of, to be fair, Marquinhos, I think that was more of a club signing. Trossard's kind of worked out. Like, what is it with Mikel Arteta and attackers?
Disgusting.
It's not nice reading still.
What is this? I do not recognize my club. It's just
stinky, man.
It just smells. And I think Arteta being, to a certain extent, gifted Martinelli and Saka maybe made him feel like it wasn't something that he needed to prioritize. But we went 2 summers too over. Like, how it's like maybe the first time that we challenged, it wasn't so obvious. But then the next season and the next season, it became even more obvious. And so we've kind of outlived it. We've kind of squeezed all the juice out of it as we could. And so we're now overdrafted. Now we need like almost like an overhaul, because now you have players that were performing well or not performing well. So now you need to maybe replace them when you kind of just needed maybe a striker before. So this is just not good enough for a top team. I remember saying at the end of the last summer window that our attack was probably, if I'm being kind, 6th best attack. And in
the league?
Yeah, I did think so. Individual
Liverpool
quality,
better than ours.
individual quality wise, it was bad.
Newcastle better than us. Brentford's last year was better than us. I'm trying to think of all the teams.
I think Brighton's is better than ours too, at least from a depth perspective.
Yeah. Spurs I can't lie. Spurs is looking like it's going to be better than ours, especially Spurs. On top of Wieser and Kudus and whatever they've got. And man.
This is what I'm saying. I'm like, our midfield and our defense have kept us afloat. And, Arteta's coaching, like, that's the weird thing about Arteta's coaching is it gets us close, but the decisions off the pitch, attacking wise, keep us from getting over the line. And so it's now these Madueke signings or sideways signings. You need to go get Gyökeres. You need to get Eze. And I still think people are going to be really disappointed if we don't end up getting a left wing, but you need to get at least 2 top quality attackers in the door. And that does not include this young man, unfortunately.
As somebody said there, well said, Jess. Do you think Arsenal could do what they did with Tomiyasu to Jesus? Obviously, Tommy's contract got ripped up.
No, I don't think it'll happen with Jesus. I think Arteta really does respect Jesus and will sell him normally, either in January or next summer. We won't get a lot for him, but I just don't think that that's something. Arteta has a long history with Gabriel Jesus, and I do think that there's something else going on with Tomiyasu outside of football. So,
Sure.
no,
What makes you think that?
I just, it's a gut feeling, and I just, I don't know. There's just something there. And then Hand of
Homesickness.
Arsenal had said, like, be careful about the way you speak about Tommy because you don't know what's going on behind closed doors. And yeah, I just don't think Arsenal
Well,
would
no one
be.
ain't saying nothing bad about Tommy. I wanted to give him another year, but
Yeah, no,
it is
I
what
mean,
it is.
like, I think in terms of like making it seem like he just doesn't want to be available, or he just is like, just I think at
Anyone
a
who says
certain
that's a
point
dickhead,
people
man.
were just acting like it was just injured for the sake of being injured. And the amount of time that he's been away in Japan and like not really around the team, even though he's been injured, makes me just feel like maybe there was something else going on. I know he lost his mom. There's just a lot going on.
Swear down.
Yeah, he did. He lost his mom.
R.I.P. man.
Yeah, so yeah, there's just a lot, going on with him. So I don't think the same thing will happen with Gabriel Jesus. In fact, I think there'll be a fire in the belly PR kind of push around September when he's
One last
actually,
dance, man.
So yeah, I think Arteta really respects Jesus and will maybe not give him another chance per se, but he won't be axed out, if that makes sense,
He's
So
probably a better option. Jesus is probably a better option than Noni Madueke. I wanted to ask you something. At this moment in time, obviously hindsight's a wonderful thing. As you said earlier, it's the 10th of July. I'm not saying I want either player, yeah, but you've got Noni Madueke, you've got Nicholas Jackson. Is Nicholas Jackson a better option? I know it's I'm
For
asking.
what?
I'm asking. Like you got Madueke, you got Nicholas Jackson. Like you have to take one of the shit dons. I'm leaning towards Jackson, At least you get Gyökeres. There's a striker there. You can play off the left. I can see more of an avenue than Madueke.
Mm-mm. It's do you it's like no, like I don't know. It just, do you want to get ran over by a bus, or do you want somebody to push me over a cliff? Like, I mean,
Why are you getting so graphic?
it's, to me, it's the same thing, it's just, come on, do I want a headache or do I want a stomach ache? Like, I don't know, so to me, there's no difference, but, I don't like Nico Jackson at
How
all.
many goals Nicholas Jackson get last year, though? At least there's a method to the madness with him.
I don't like Nico Jackson at all. I don't like Noni either, but I mean, I don't know, man. You're
Jackson, if you
asking
got
me for
double
like
figures,
really bad options.
24 goals and 10 assists in 65 appearances in the Premier League. That's not bad. It's not bad from Nicholas. Let me see what else you got. What did you get in the?
Copium, bro.
Yeah, he got 10 goals in. Yeah, forget that. Yeah, Jess is right still. Yeah, bullshit. You're actually bullshit. Forget all of that. What do you think on a serious note? Yeah, like me personally, I think everybody's allowed an opinion. I think it's a bit mad to do the hashtag thing, especially if you're a grown woman or a grown man. Definitely doing petitions not to sign the football is crazy. I know social media isn't real life, yeah, but going in a man's DMs and getting at him and saying he's rubbish and all of this, I think it's too much, because these are the, God forbid, but if he was to take his own life, these are the same people that will say, oh, be careful about mental health and etc. At the end of the day, my man is a human. And I saw one of your tweets where you said something like, Madueke is on social media, so he might have seen it. But like, what do you make of this? Because for me, it's gone too far now.
Oh, 100%. I think, it started maybe with Ramsdale. And then I know we saw that like Ben White had spoken about it in the All or Nothing, how the Arsenal fans made it known that they didn't want him here. We know Raya's gone through it. We know Havertz has gone through it. And now it has, I think the emotions around so many failed seasons has gotten to people's heads. And this is just one step too far. Now, I think people are conflating criticizing and not wanting a signing with the abuse. The abuse is never okay. And I think this to me is a level of abuse that I don't like. It's not going straight to him, but this is too far. The hashtag is too far. Hashtags like that should be utilized for really serious things. At the end of the day, it's just football. Like, come on. And then going into his DMs or encouraging people to, do things, to speak to him in a way, like, it's just, to me, it's just not right. Now,
makes you want to sign him, and we want him to bang now.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like that's the worst part about making a signing like this, is that if you're the type of person that's like, well, once he puts on the shirt, then I'm going to back him, you get abuse, because it's like, now you're accepting mediocrity. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? As soon as he puts on the shirt, I need to want him to do well.
You want him to do well. You praise and critique him fairly. Like, that's all you can ask for.
100%. And that's why I'm like, I don't agree with trying to conflate the overreaction to it that's going on into the abuse category as just everybody's just overreacting, because you do deserve to have a reaction to a signing like this, just not abuse. But equally, I don't want to catch abuse, because I don't want a player to be bad when he signs for us, because that feels unnatural as well. So I've never seen a player be so universally unwanted, and I wish the club would maybe not make signings just for us, but would take heed of that, because Arteta is going to be in press conferences asking to give Noni love in TLC like he did with Havertz. And I'm like, if you just don't sign players like this, we'll back it. Like, how many times do you need to sign a Chelsea player to know that we don't like that? Like, just stop doing it. But they don't do anything for us. One thing about Arsenal we know for sure is they do not care about what we think. They do not care whatsoever.
They're going to do what they're going to do.
100%. I mean, do you think that the club should look at how fans kind of, because remember when Man United was looking at buying an Altovich, and because of the reaction, they pulled out of discussions? Do you think that that's something that Arsenal should look to do, or should they just power ahead with what they want to do?
I mean, you got to judge the sentiment. You got to see what the climate's like and stuff. But then at the same time, as you said rightly there, Arsenal have shown, like any club, like they're not going to make decisions just for the fans. And if a football club did that, it's going to go left. They've made more unpopular decisions. To a degree, unfortunately, it's probably water off a duck's back for a footballer and a manager. So they're probably just going to keep it moving. I do wonder if Madueke is thinking, oh, you know what, the fans don't want me here, blah, blah, blah. But then his attitude just screams that, okay, I'm going to score at the Emirates, and I'm going to and even the hashtag, I don't know how many people
here, man. He's going to
do. He should do. You should tell every Arsenal fan that's doing all of this, not the ones that don't want you, the ones that are doing too much, to suck their mums, if I'm completely honest with you. Like, they should do that. Like, he's a nice guy. Like, and it is annoying. Like, you're seeing 2,000 people apparently signing that petition. There's millions of Arsenal fans, thousands going to be in the stadium, and they're going to be supporting you and whatnot. And football's a fickle game. Half the people slagging you off are going to be celebrating if you score, and half of the people that diss you, they see you in the flesh, whether they rate you or not. They're, oh, Madueke, can I get a picture? That is what is going to happen. Like, it's jarring. I do think what you said there, just don't sign these rejects really at Chelsea. Not even rejects, but just don't sign mediocre players. And I do think a lot of it is because of the fact that we don't want this signing, because we want other things. I don't think it's fair to Madueke, but you know what? That's what happens with being a footballer. And at the end of the day, you're still getting paid. I wanted to ask you on Madueke as well. Some people say he's not going to get a wage increase and all of this. Me, I think that's a lie. You're 23. You're being sold for X amount. If Reece Nelson's on 100K, I'm looking for that. And I don't think your agent's doing his job if that's not the case. But where are you at with that?
I guess we'll know later on, once he actually signed, right? Because it's all just speculation, and reports can be wrong. But if it's on £50,000 a week now, I don't anticipate it going into like the 200s. For top four sides, it's very rare to have people outside of the £100,000 mark. So that's not considered a high wage for top four teams. So let's see, what it is. I guess the amount of wages he's on, what number he takes, those things will give me a better idea of what his importance to the squad is. If he's going to get the 14, if he's touching 14 and 10, we are cooked.
We're in trouble. If I was him, you know what? I might just take it to piss people off. If Eddie can wear 14, I must be able to wear 14.
I mean, we should just hang it up. you
Yeah, we should
know.
just retire it if I'm honest. I would like
That
Gyökeres to get the 9, but I don't think Jesus is going to give that up and whatnot.
no, he'll hold on to it, kicking and screaming. Ain't no way he's giving up that 9. I can still do it, I promise. Like, you know,
Yeah, you
it'll
need to
break
stay
him.
fit, Jesus,
It
man.
would break him. Oh no, it could never.
Are some YouTubers facilitating this behavior? Me, I can't talk for no other YouTubers or what I'm doing. I know people watch YouTubers and copy their opinions and whatnot, but I'm always an advocate of think for your damn self. If you're doing something just because someone else is doing, I actually think you're a donut. That's just me. I don't know
I
though.
think that, like, listen, we all have to we don't have control over anyone else. And do I think the people that have started these hashtags and this kind of stuff are kind of,
Faceless accounts.
yeah, it's like, okay, but these are people, and I know that Arsenal makes you really emotional, but at the end of the day, it is just football. And so you have a I do think you have kind of a little bit of a responsibility if you have a bigger platform, but not everybody uses their platform like we do. So I can't tell you what to do, but I do think that they've taken it too far and it's hard to backtrack now. And I would not begrudge Noni if he scored a goal and he had a shirt underneath that said F you, sir, so and so for starting that hashtag, because, it just not cute. Like, I don't like it at all. Can't lie.
Now, I think, listen, there's nothing more I could add to that. Like, obviously everyone's got a responsibility, and I always advocate for fair praise and fair criticism. I know there's a pylon and stuff, but then I also feel if you're just blindlessly copying any of these big social media accounts or YouTube accounts and you know they're doing the abuse thing and you're following them, you've got to be a prick. Now, away from that negative news, there's 1 minute we're getting Gyökeres and then there's everything like, before we get into the whole Gyökeres stalling stuff and everything in between, did you think we'd sign Gyökeres ahead of Sesko? And yeah, that's the first bit.
Like 2 weeks ago, I was like, "Oh, it's Sesko. That's what we're doing," and that was what we were doing. You know, um, I felt like that was pretty clear at a certain point that he was our ideal option or what we were trying to do. But the fee that they wanted was prohibitive, and really, to me,
Extortionate.
like, it didn't reflect where he was now and heavily projected on his potential. And I think that's always what RB Leipzig wanted. They wanted a figure close to 100 million, and they did not want to sell for less, and that's their prerogative. But we need to switch and pivot. And so I'm happy that we're going towards Gyökeres. I'm seeing that Fabrizio Romano just put out an update on it, and hopefully it gets done soon, before the weekend. I would love to know that the striker is done. This is so important, and I've never seen where Noni is so universally disliked and not wanted. I don't think I've ever seen a signing like a Gyökeres type signing that's so divisive, where it feels like there's very clear no, I don't want him, and very clear yes, I want him. And for him, he's gonna have to hit the ground running if he comes. But I'm kind of sad that our first attacking signing potentially is not met with universal excitement, but
You
there's a
said
lot
that.
of
You said that. Yeah. Let's start there because this tweet comes here as well. Some are saying he's not a better striker than Havertz. Why do you think there's been some sections of football fans? There's a section of Arsenal fans that, yeah, I might want Sesko, I might want Gyökeres, but I just want any striker, and it is what it is. I think there's been a lot of pushback. Some are very upset about us signing Sesko. Maybe they fancy him and whatnot. And I think it's quite hypocritical because you always trust the process, back the manager. If Arteta wants him, blah, 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 until it's a player that they don't want. Like, why do you think there's been such a pushback to Gyökeres?
he doesn't fit the criteria of the Arsenal tactical group. They want
1,000,000%.
They want somebody younger. They want somebody where it's not clear who they are so they can project upon their potential and future. And instead of dealing with who they are right now, with Gyökeres, it's you get him and you're expected to perform right now. There's no excuses whatsoever. But if Sesko comes in, you have Havertz who's starting, who's another one of their project upon what you can't see, got to squint to see what he is. Like, they like that. And, because they'll tell you that you don't understand football if you don't get Havertz. Sesko would be the exact same thing, even though I really rate Sesko, but it would give more leeway for things if they don't go right for there to be an excuse. Gyökeres means there's no excuse. And he's also not the most aesthetically pleasing, and he's rough around the edges, and I think they have an ideal person or an ideal profile that they feel like we should be going after. But in reality, good teams still go to other options when they need to win, so I think this is the right direction to go in. This whole idea that he's going to score less goals than a Jesus or a Havertz or whatever, I feel like is overblown and a little bit like, really? Do you really think he's a worse finisher than, no offense to them, but some of the statistically worst finishers in the Premier League? I don't know. I'm excited. I'm not going to lie. I really like Gyökeres, and I would have loved Sesko as well, but this guy wants us bad. Like, don't you guys want somebody that wants you
leaving his
back?
girlfriend and giving up. I wouldn't give up
Yeah.
millions of pounds, and I'm not going training. The
Yeah.
one thing I'm with you in that, I genuinely think there's a lot of Arsenal fans who love the journey, not the destination. It's like being on a plane expecting to land in a hot country, but you never want to land. I like Gyökeres because he's here now. Like, I don't know if we're really, like we said earlier, Madueke and Sesko, it's too much potential. I like Gyökeres because of what you just said and his desire and his age, and it's a different player. I said this with Harry. I think this is, if Pep Guardiola, like, this is Arteta's Haaland moment, in that you're going to have to change your system slightly to suit Gyökeres, and the likes of Havertz might benefit. At the end of the day, we needed to get one in it. If we don't get Gyökeres, then you're looking at Ollie Watkins, who also not quite to the same level of those two, also fits the system. Just get it done. We've got plenty of players that can be facilitators. We've seen Havertz do it. We've seen Marino do it. We've seen Jesus do it. None of them can consistently put a ball in the back of the net. Of course, this comment's right. If it flops, it sets us back. That is the same that it could be said with Sesko. There's no guarantee it's going to work. We just move on.
Can I speak on this, though? I feel like, why? Okay, Gyökeres is going to cost us maybe about 60 million pounds. That's what they're going for. 60 million pounds, 65 million pounds, whatever. Fixed fee. That's the same as like Solanke and players like that. Like, that's kind of like the going rate for a striker right now. It's not cheap, so, but it's also not 100 million, like that player, that has to work. We're talking about half of that potentially. What's stopping us from selling Jesus next summer and going to get another striker next summer if Gyökeres doesn't work out?
Or in that 5-year period, just finding the next Sesko. We might think what could have happened with Sesko, but we need
I
to
don't
do things
believe
now.
this whole "it's going to set us back" thing. What do you mean by that? Because the fee is not prohibitive for us to do anything else. We have one striker that we know is most likely going to leave next summer. And then there's also rumors out now that people are looking at Havertz. So I don't really understand this whole, it's the end of the road if we bring in this player. Now,
because their egos are bruised.
Yeah, I don't really understand that. Now, Arsenal tend to be the type of club where if we do mess up, we take too long to fail fast. But we should feel like, okay, if it doesn't work out with Gyökeres, we have an exit plan for him. It's something that Berta's really good at. He's good at being able
to Saudi
on and then get someone else. Like, what are you guys talking about? It's the end. I don't really get it.
Because they want Arsenal to be in their image. Like, they just can't get over the fact that we're not getting Sesko. It's Sesko or bust. Like, all the concern. I'm not saying Gyökeres doesn't have concerns, but all of the concerns and praise. Well, a lot of people say Gyökeres can't bang in this league. If Gyökeres can't bang in this league, what evidence have you got for Sesko? And this is someone that believes Sesko would. I'm just criticizing the logic. It's not making sense. Like, it genuinely is not making sense to me. It's jarring.
Yeah, 100%.
People just in love with their own image of Arsenal. Like, if it's going to hurt my ego and whatnot. What is this saying? Unpopular option, but I think Havertz will flourish this season playing alongside Gyökeres. Both have different attributes that complement each other. What do you make of that?
I don't think that our best form is going to come with a 2-striker system. So, I think if you're buying Eze and you have Zubimendi and Rice, I don't really see a way where we're going to switch to a 2-striker system. But
you'd have to play in Odegaard's role, surely.
Yeah, and I don't really see that. You're renewing Ethan. There's plenty of players that you'll have that can play that position. So, I would like to see Havertz maybe be moved to a squad role, but that's just me.
It has to be like you can be a facilitator. There's games for you, Havertz, but you just can't be the guy. If I'm honest with you. By the way, people, Fabrizio Romano's apparently said Viktor Gyökeres deal remains ongoing with two clubs maintaining their contact on transfer fee. No chance for Gyökeres to show up for training. He already informed Sporting about that. Only Arsenal. We've got our man. He's a bully as well.
Yeah,
I think he's a man.
I think it's yeah, like it's done.
And that's it. Like, we just can't, like, this is it. And then what the frustrating thing is, we need to draw a line in the sand this summer because we've known we've needed a striker for a minute. Going back to the year, whenever it was that Martinelli was scoring, we tried to buy Mudryk. So we know we need a left winger. Just get it done now. Like, just get it done. Like, in previous summers, we might know we need a striker and a left winger. And we might only get one of them. We've left ourselves none of that now. Everything needs to be addressed. Every area. We need to go into the season believing that we were equipped with the squad. Do you actually think we'll get Eze, hand on heart? Because we've even been linked with giving them Josh Nichols. I don't buy that for what it's worth. Palace are bumping themselves.
Yeah, I think we will get Eze. I think
out of 10?
Huh?
Out of 10, if you had to put a score on it, that like the likelihood of getting Eze out of 10?
Like an 8 out of 10. I think
you're quite bullish.
Yeah, I think we'll get him. I think I don't think we'd go to the lengths of talking to him and doing the personal terms and that kind of stuff, but we were just going to leave him on red. That's not really the Arsenal way. And then there's a lot of reports that are saying that we're going to go try to talk to Crystal Palace. Now how those negotiations are going to go, I don't know, but I also just feel like Arsenal, I mean, Berto watched us at the end of the season. He knows
he looked vexed in all of them clips as well.
Yeah, he knows we need this. And so Eze to me is just as important of a signing as, the left wing, because Arsenal desperately need different qualities in midfield that I just don't think Marino is going to give you, or, whoever else can potentially play there.
Better quality, man.
Yeah, 100%. And he wants to come. And if you want to get the fans on side and make a signing for us, that's the one. You want people excited for the season to start? That's the one. If you want to sell a shit ton of shirts, that's the one. It just makes so much sense. So Gyökeres, Eze, maybe this guy too. I don't know. I think I'm being greedy now.
I can't lie. Is Eze a better signing than Rodrygo, or is Rodrygo a better signing than Eze? I know the name probably tends towards Rodrygo, but like, would Eze be a better signing?
What do you think? What do you think is a better signing? What gets us closer to the titles?
I just think Eze.
Really?
And I want to go with my Brazilian boy Rodrygo because it's talismanic. Yeah. Not that I care what other teams think about Arsenal, but it would make people go, wow, whatever. We'd have him and Saka. But I just feel with Rodrygo, when I get beyond all of that, I actually don't know what I'm getting. With Eze, I think we have problems penetrating central areas. Even if we sign Madueke and Eze, we assume Eze is always going to play off the left-hand side. He's a level raiser in that regards. And I just feel I know what I'm getting with Eze. With Rodrygo, once I get beyond the fact that he's obviously a quality player, we've seen it, and an opportunity, I don't know. Like, is he going to get the numbers? Like, Eze had a strong return.
I mean, I think what you have with
Rodrygo can play 10.
Eze is he's used to being in a situation where he needs to perform in order for his team to do well. And Rodrygo's never really been in that situation. Whether he plays well or not, there's going to be other players that are required to, that are more required to step up for them to do well. So Rodrygo would actually be having to make a mentality shift. I think he'd have to go from being a piece of a puzzle to somebody that we're looking towards, which is kind of a big shift, where Eze has already been in that situation. Like, he knows that if he does not play well, Crystal Palace are probably not going to win that game. If he's not available, they're in a lot of trouble. So I think mentality-wise, Eze probably fits that mold a little bit more of somebody that could take us over the line. But from a quality perspective, I do think Rodrygo has a lot to give in a position 100. That we desperately need a starter in. So yeah, I'm torn because I really like Rodrygo. But I think
do you think he wants to leave though? Like, in his heart, do you think he wants to leave?
No, I don't think he wants to leave. I think he's being semi-pushed out in a way. Like, I think he knows the writing is on the wall, so he has to make a decision for himself. If it was up to him, because I think Real Madrid are kind of doing that. We're not going to really just push you out, but we're going to put you in a position where you know you're not wanted. And so I do think he'd idealistically want to stay, but what's best for his career now? 2 more years at Real Madrid with them keeping bringing on in these players. You're Lucas Vasquez, like, is that what you want for your career? No offense to him, but is that what you want? Playing bit part role, never really being seen unless everybody and their mom is injured, or do you want to do something different somewhere else? It's about where his mentality is right now. I think Eze's mentality is already there. Gyökeres' mentality is already there. Where's Rodrygo? Because he can't come to Arsenal and be a bit part. He can't fade into woodwork. We're going to expect you to take us over the line. No, I would not take Pulisic. Let's be real.
Why? That's your guy.
Because he's broken. Like, that guy's broken. He played in the Prem. He can't handle it. And I don't like him. So
he's going to help you win the World Cup next year.
I mean, are you going to win the World Cup next year?
We got more of a chance than you, Law. I know that much. Brazil were lit.
You sure do.
So England team.
You better win it.
We're going to get further than you.
Your we is England, by the way. This whole Brazilian thing that you're
I'm both Brazil and England.
It's a gimmick. You're trying to do double duty. You can only.
Do you mean I was born in Brazil? I can't snake my homeland. So I got an affiliation with Martinelli. I used to live around the corner from Gabriel Jesus. He used to tell me I was a good baller, but I injured my knee.
Sure.
Listen, and Liverpool have got involved in the Rodrygo hype. I just can't put my heart towards it. Like, I just can't get involved with it. Just bring me as it.
I mean, yeah, no, I hear that for sure.
Look who else are involved.
Yeah, I know, but Zubimendi, Rice, we've been able to get those players,
Yeah, but
Rodrygo, are interested.
PSG are on to you. You see what they're doing. They can give you more importance and you can swap wings. Man City got Pep. Liverpool just won the league. There are probably some others. I'm not saying we can't throw a case forward, but I can't put my heart through it, Jess.
I feel like you're afraid to get hurt, so you want to.
100%. I support Arsenal Football Club. I love it, but it hurts me. 100%. If I put my hand in fire once and been burnt, Jess, why am I putting my hand in it again?
Your 808s and heartbreaks right now.
1,000,000%. To be fair, I didn't think we'd get Rice. I didn't think we'd get Aubameyang. I didn't think we'd get Alexis Sanchez, Mesut Ozil. Maybe it's a positive omen, but
it's
going to take too much.
Here's the thing, though. I feel like I don't really feel. I just want to see us actually try, because a talent like this means that Arsenal would be going up against other teams, and so to me, there's no shame in trying to get Rodrygo. And it might like getting rejected, because it's like, okay, well, he went somewhere else. But I would hate for an opportunity like this to come around and we don't even try. So I'm open to the rejection, because I do feel like we'll still get Eze, and that's, Eze and Gyökeres to me is a very positive window. So yeah, I really want this player, but if we don't get him, I don't know if I'll cry. It would hurt if he went to a rival, but we have to try.
And you gotta wonder, like, as much as I like Rodrygo, how much first team football is he gonna get when you've got Gabriel Martinelli? Unique qualities. Did score at Real Madrid.
These unique qualities, is that like your way of saying like he's kind of crap, but like he can run fast? Or
hey, Jurgen Klopp said he's the talent of the century. I'm just someone on YouTube, man. How can I disagree with Jurgen Klopp?
That's crazy.
Is he a definite upgrade on Martinelli? I don't know. That's why I want to know your thoughts. I'm open to listening. I don't know.
This is getting dark. No,
I don't know. I've seen Martinelli carry Arsenal. I don't know if Rodrygo could do that.
Carry?
Yeah, remember when it weren't cool to, like, now we're lit. Remember when it was just him, Saka, Smith Rowe, and all the young G's? He definitely carried.
I remember Saka and Smith Rowe, and that's why they got a song. I don't remember Martinelli being in that song.
We don't need songs. You name every big game. You go watch Martinelli's highlights. You see the Cities, the Liverpools. He's been terrorizing Trent. He ran Trent out the league. Even last year, for all the criticisms around Martinelli, he did score. Stop me if I'm telling lies. He scored against Real Madrid at the Bernabeu. He did bag at Liverpool at Anfield. He did have one of the, in my opinion, assist of the season for Calafiori against Manchester City. I think he's got 2 assists against Man City.
You know what? I feel like you live in this world. I would love to be in the world that you're in, because it is like rainbows and butterflies and that.
Why rainbows? I don't know about that, but I hear that. I don't know about the rainbow thing, though. What
Yeah.
do you make of this? Like, I just saw this as we were talking. It's a long read. I'll just read it out for everyone because I'm a nice guy. Rodrygo currently prefers to stay put and regain his place and will only open himself up to the market if Real Madrid clearly say he can go. The club have not put a price for the player. That is what that said. Someone dyslexic probably read this. It is well known that Mikel Arteta has the Brazilian's name on Arsenal's shortlist, but there have been no direct contacts between either Real Madrid or Eric Gomez, which I think is his dad. What is known is that any move to open the exit door will not have Rodrygo's hand on the doorknob. With a contract until mid-2028, the Brazilian wants to keep his place until at least the end of 2025. The next few weeks, however, will be decisive. With the end of their participation in the Club Cup, Real Madrid have given the squad a vacation and are scheduled to reappear on August the 4th. The La Liga opener is on the 19th against Osasuna, and the transfer window for major leagues closes on September the 1st. Dates that will be decisive in a silent soap opera despite the external shouting. That don't sound like someone that wants to move.
But I think it's also probably why Arsenal are going for another winger. I think they're open to trying to get Rodrygo, but you can't, with a player like this, I feel like you have to make sure that you protect yourself. Like you can't put all your eggs in his basket because he seems a little wishy-washy. And so, yeah, but I think we're there if he decides he really wants to go. I know we've spoken to him. Gabriel basically confirmed that he talked to him, but he has to make the decision for himself. So, and Real Madrid are like, if a good offer comes in, we're going to accept it. So they're basically.
What's a good offer?
I mean, I would probably spend up to 80 million on him. What do you think? That too much?
No, I'd say 80 million. I can't lie. I think you need about 80, probably to 100 for him. I think you're aiming to do it around 80. But then I have to ask you, I do think similar to last season, like we're victims of just not looking at it like this necessarily, but we're just looking at it from the Premier League and we're flirting with success. I do think there's an element of us wanting to get money in. You saw the exits last season. I think there's going to be an element of that. As much as I like Berta for what he's done at Atletico Madrid and his experience and all that stuff that we've spoken about, we've got to remember, initially, he's a footballing man, but he's got a financial background. If I'm the Cronkies, am I going to want to do this? Like, that's what the club have to decide. He's going to cost big money. You're going to put him on big wages. You want to keep Saka and Saliba. Fair enough. Someone like Luis Skelly ain't earning the most money in the squad, but there's an uptake there. You still got Gabriel, Jesus, and Havertz. They need to decide if they want to be at the big boy table, Jess. And I don't know if they're going to do that because you want Rodrygo. You probably can't get Eze and Rodrygo, even though I'd love that to be the case. They've committed 50 million to Mr. Man. You mentioned Zubamendi and everything else. I don't know, Jess, man. But you're right. I think you need 80 odd, give or take. And
I'm going to believe until it's no longer happening because we may not feel like we can get it done, but that's the kind of window that they kind of need. Unfortunately, they've neglected that attack for so long that, that picture where it's like it's a pretty horse and then it gets all the way to the front and then it's like a poorly drawn front of the horse. That's what it looks like, and so they need to have a serious window. And so until it's not true or, somebody else takes him or he decides not to go, I'm going to hold a little bit of hope, especially because we're being linked to him. But, right now, Eze and Gyökeres through the door and I'm a pretty happy girl, so let's see.
Boy, what do you make of this? I want Rodrygo, but I do think some Arsenal fans have overrated. Watch a lot of Brazil games. He goes, does one good thing, and you won't see him for the next 20 minutes. He ain't got that dog. To be fair, don't turn up for Brazil. Vinicius the same.
I mean, we say this, and then when he's playing for a rival and he scores on the first day, game week 1, we'll be choking on, like, oh my gosh, like, why don't we go get him? I think that there's a lot of, if he was playing in his right position and, all this kind of stuff, like, if he had the perfect scenario, I feel like I would be like, what's going on with you? But we know he's supposed to be playing left wing. We understand how Real Madrid has been over the last year or so, but we know that he's come up with big goals. He's a very talented player and we're not very good at an attack, so I'm not going to be turning my nose up to Rodrygo. I feel like that's a little rich for us, to be honest.
Nah, we can't do that.
I feel like it's a little rich to be, he's overrated. Like, do you see what we have up front? Like, come on. He walks into that starting group, so yeah, we'll see. I just
I'm
wish
not even
we
gonna say
never went after Madueke. I just will never understand it. It's so weird. Somebody needs to explain that.
They need to explain it. You need to show me that. You need to listen. He does the job. No beef from me. You don't do the job. I'm not at Madueke. No one
Right.
put a gun to your head to go buy him in it. Come
I
on,
need
man.
Berta to come out and do a little video like other, sporting directors do and explain, because I don't get it. I'm sorry, I don't get it.
Do you feel there's an element of having to sell Martin? Well, do you think we'll sell before we can buy someone like Rodrygo? Martinelli and Trossard are linked with moves away. I don't think Martinelli's going for the wages he's on. But how do you feel
about him not going?
Yeah. Or just like, can you see a Rodrygo and an Eze or either of them coming in while you still got, Martinelli and whatnot, or not made any significant outgoings?
Well, we've definitely made significant outgoings from a wage perspective. And so I think that's, Jorginho going, other people going as well. Like, I think that's more what it is than just the fee. I think making sure that you have wage space for somebody like a Rodrygo is just as important as the fee. So we have done some stuff. And then, I do think Trossard will go. I don't actually think he's just not the type of player to stick around if, he's not getting playing time. And as it stands, if you add a Gyökeres, if you add an Eze, you've virtually made him surplus, so he would also be
Madueke is getting more minutes than me, and I'm Trossard. Oof.
Right. I mean, you've closed all the avenues for him to get additional playing time. He's supposed to be a backup in some regard as a left center mid. He's played there before. Eze comes in, that door is shut. You have Eze that can also play left wing. You have Madueke that can also play left wing. That door is shut.
Well.
False nine, door shut. So Trossard is probably somebody that may want to go, and it's not a lot of wages, but it all adds up in the end, and it also adds a squad space. So yeah,
I mean, what do you make of this? This is Rodrygo has 11 GA, Martinelli has 12 GA. Bearing in mind Martinelli was injured.
Martinelli has a lot more. He has more GA than a lot of players, but we watch him with our own two eyes. I think it's more about his limitations than anything like that. I mean, Martinelli's playing in his right position and all that kind of stuff, gets plenty of playing time.
What, does he play up front? I never knew.
No, I mean, he's not a striker for us. And nobody was complaining about him not playing striker when he scored the 15 goals. Now all of a sudden he's not a left wing anymore. I think ultimately, if you guys think Rodrygo is not as good as Martinelli because of GA, then that's what you think. But I don't think anybody would say that hand on heart. If you would, fair enough. But
it depends, Jess, man, because football's subjective. You just don't know. Like, it all depends. It really does. Like, they both have unique qualities.
Well, there were people running stats last season that showed Havertz was a better striker than Haaland. So sometimes,
and he probably is in some metrics.
Listen,
he's got unique qualities. You think I won't be shameless to force this trolling?
This is why we will never prosper with fans that will justify just about anything. Rodrygo comes into this team and instantly walks into that starting 11.
100% now. If I cut the crap, yeah, Martinelli and Trossard. I want to. How do I make this make sense? I need to see Mikel Arteta put people in the roles they should be. Like, banter aside, Trossard, again, provided everyone can stay and we don't talk about finances. Trossard, Martinelli, you man are squad players. If you come off the bench and do well when there's injuries and you take your chances and your form is out of this world, granted, you need to play. But 38 games, I'm not expecting you to do it for 30, but none of you are doing it for 20, 25. The same goes for Kai. I think we keep doing this thing where we take guys that should be on the peripheral or the squad, and then we try and make them first team regulars. And then we're surprised that ultimately, in the grand scheme of things, collectively, they do all right. But they don't needle move. They can't get us over the line. And I'm sure me and you have done content together for a couple of years. Fundamentally, we always find ourselves probably at this time or when we're reviewing the end of the season, talking about the same shit.
Yep. And I'm tired of it. Like, I really am. That's why I'm like, we need to go get Eze, because I'm tired of talking about our midfield. I love Zubi. I think he's going to be so good for us. And I believe
change our lives, man.
But Eze coming in really does, like, it just makes so much sense that I hope Arsenal don't do the thing where it makes sense. So let's not do it. But yeah, I think adding him, adding a striker, just keeping it simple. You need more creativity, add a creative player. You need more goals, add a goal scorer. You know, like just simple things like that will
Stop trying
help.
to reinvent the wheel now, man.
Right, exactly.
Would you have had Lookman? She took too long. She ain't feeling Lookman. It took too long. You
Yeah.
don't rate him. You're probably thinking. You probably thought to yourself, "I'll have him ahead of Madueke," but there was other calculations going on. You don't like him, which is fine.
I do like him. I just, would he be my number one choice? Probably not. Like, there's a lot of players that I would take, but like way like after the other option.
All right, Rodrygo's off the table. Yeah, where are you going? Because I'm going to Lyon or Monaco for them kind of players. But like Rodrygo's off the table. Assume we've got Eze, but we still want a left winger. Where's your headspace kind of at?
I feel like I'd want to go for maybe a younger player just because we're bringing in two 27-year-olds like potentially.
And Zubi's 26.
Zubi's 26, so maybe a younger player, not Adeyemi. I'm sorry, but
that's my guy. I like him.
I know you do because he's just like Martinelli, Roadrunner. But yeah, I do like Lookman, and it's like we could do worse, but we'll see.
What is it that turns you off him? Is it just the age?
It's the age. It's the fact that he was in the Prem before and didn't necessarily hit the ground running. I know he was at lesser teams, but still, like Eze is at Crystal Palace, but he still like performs. You can see, or like So, yeah, I think it's a little bit of that, and yeah, it's just mostly that. I think that he's been in the league before. Maybe he's just not. I don't know. Is that like the marquee signing we're looking for? I don't know. I feel like I'm being mean to him. I don't like this.
You are still, but I can't blame you because I'm sure many of us feel the same way. We just need Bully now.
I do like him.
But that might be the fire in his belly. Gyökeres, it didn't. I know, fair enough, he didn't play in the Prem, but it didn't quite work out for him, and he's back now.
Yeah.
I think Lookman would be good for us, man.
I do like Lookman. I just would prefer Rodrygo. But yeah, I get it. A lot of people would take him, and yes, I watched him last season for Atalanta. I know he's a good player, but we watch a lot of players, and we still have preferences over some players over other ones. Like
the Italian league is booky. I can't lie.
Yeah, like Pat said, he doesn't give you goosebumps.
I mean, there's players at our club that give you goosebumps, not in a good way, though. Are you having Liao?
I think I would maybe prefer him over Lookman just for the simple fact that he gives us outside of GA, because I know like if you like a player, you will, ignore any GA issues or like, whatever. And I kind of feel like with Liao, he's not my favorite player, but what he does have is like maybe some of those elements that we don't have in our team, the tricky 1v1. I think that's super important for us. Even just outside GA, we need players that can beat their man, and he can beat his man. He can run off the shoulder. He's somebody that's good in transition. I don't know if Lookman has those things, even though maybe he's a better goal scorer, but you want to get those elements into the team. So possibly that, I still prefer Rodrygo though. I'm stuck there.
I know, man. You need to open up your minds to the possibility of other targets, man. I hope for everyone's sake we get Rodrygo, and it's quite interesting to be with Jess. She's got the whole and I hope she's right and I'm wrong, because I want him. I want to join her with this Rodrygo thing, but my heart can't take it no more, man. I can't.
You haven't even been in it yet. You haven't. I
don't want to get involved yet. I know how it ends, Jess. I know how it ends. It's bare flirting.
You're not built for it. Like you're not built for the saga, man.
I'm not. And watch when the Athletic Post comes out, and whatever we do, even if it's the best or the worst summer, it's going to say we held conversations with Rodrygo. Mikel Arteta flew to Spain. They ate tapas together, but ultimately the money and this and that. I don't forget it.
Fine, it's not happening.
No, I hope you're right. And if not, I would love a Xavi, Simmons, a Nusa, one of them Leipzig players. But obviously, Leipzig probably not our best of friends right now. Pardon?
I'm sick of them.
I can't blame them for trying to bump us, if I'm honest. The one thing I would say with Sesko and with Gyökeres and just in football in general, you see how these gentlemen's agreements, if it's not in cold-hearted writing, it's a myth. If Sesko, ironically, didn't sign that new deal last year, he probably is an Arsenal player because he had a 60 million release clause. Now they're playing hardball and asking for 90. You're not here, and maybe everything works out for a reason because I don't want to say we're about to get Gyökeres, but we're about to get Gyökeres.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, at the end of the day, like, we have to, I think there's like a balance to be struck. You want to get close to your valuation, but you don't want to hem and haw over a couple million either and lose out on a good target. They were way over the valuation and they did not uphold the gentleman's agreement. And also Sesko didn't want it bad enough. Sporting weren't trying to, do the gentleman's agreement, and Gyökeres, he agitated, and he's making his move happen. Now he's also 27, so this feels like the last chance for him. And Sesko was probably going to try to use this as a lily pad, so he's probably okay with not being here. That's fine, but ultimately, we know what RB Leipzig are like. They are good sellers, and there's a reason for that, but that doesn't mean we need to bend over, so.
What are you saying for Nwaneri potentially signing you doing? In fact, Nwaneri, Max Dowman is apparently it's moving in a positive direction.
I was like not really worried about the Ethan stuff. I know that people were panicking about it, and I get why, because of the team that he was linked to. And, it's just now we're linked with Madueke. It was just all that wrapped into one. But I didn't really think that he was going to leave, so I'm not surprised that it's moving in the right direction. And I can't wait to see how he develops next season, because I do think he should be getting more minutes in his right position. It would not be a bad idea to take 5 or 6 Prem games off of Odegaard's legs and give them straight to Ethan. I know if you get Eze, people are going to be like, well, what about Eze? Eze is a left-sided player. I feel like he would be so good in those left-sided pockets,
Especially against low blocks. Just mix and blend. Wenger used to force them all in. Sometimes do that.
100%. So yeah, I'm happy about Ethan, but I also wasn't worried, so there's that.
Fair play.
This one I'm worried about still, just a little bit, he's taking his time,
Wouldn't you?
Saliba.
Yeah, wouldn't you? If you're him, take your time.
Of course. I don't blame him. That's the thing. It's like, I'm not sitting here, I'm not blaming him for taking his time. He needs to see that we're serious. I think several of our players will want to see that we're serious. I think the way that they were played last season, they just, I know in the group chat, they were like, what is this?
Can you imagine what they said in January?
Yeah. I mean, it's shocking. They thought that they were going to get players and we didn't get them. And it's not just about a numbers thing. It's about a quality thing. I think they would want to see better quality coming in up front. Not like they don't love their friends that play up front, but just add more. And so am I still a little bit worried about him? Just a little bit. I do think that there's still a chance that we could lose him and he won't resign, but we've offered him a good contract, so let's see what happens.
Imagine Real Madrid said, we'll give you Rodrygo, but you got to find some sort of deal for Saliba this year. Would you do it? So this summer, Saliba has to go to Madrid, we get Rodrygo.
That's terrible.
I wouldn't do it because I don't know who on God's green earth replaces him.
Yeah. Well, you don't believe in Mascara or what?
I believe in him, but like we've been talking for the best point of an hour about win now mode, right? It's all fun and games, giving me Gyökeres, giving me Rodrygo. But then we're going for my defense. You've got Gabriel and who else? Mascara, cool. Like I do trust Arteta with developing young defenders. You've seen it. But we remember Saliba to a degree as well when he went out on loan. We remember Gabriel had the clangers. Mascara's going to have that. Unfortunately, he's not going to be alone, but that's going to cost you, surely.
I feel like it puts you kind of like in the same position. Like if we had gotten in, maybe it'd be a little bit different, but we didn't. We're getting like a more raw defender in Mascara. So no, I wouldn't do it. I just love, our defense. And I think we have to keep that together while we add, not take one step forward and one step back.
Exactly. And that's what I thought it would have been if we did that. My final thing for you then, Fabio Vieira has been linked with Parma. Would you give him another chance? Where are you at with Fabio? Like, is that a good move?
That's perfect. As long as we get a fee, no loans, Parma pay up, but I think that's a good move for him. I think he needs to be in a league that's maybe not as maybe physical. You know, well, not that Serie A is not physical, but I think it's a little bit slower
He
than
needs to
the
eat some
Prem.
food, man.
Yeah, and I mean, Carlos Cuesto is probably a good place for him to land because he knows it, kind of knows him, you know. So yeah, but show us the peas.
I don't know if this is the real hand of Arsenal. I always say this, but if it is, big him up. He said this report is wide of the mark as of today. I think Fabio Vieira is a tough sell. I'll be real. I think it's a tough sell. Not because he lacks quality, he's just probably on some healthy wages. I think clubs probably want him on loan. I wonder if Fabio Vieira forces the boat. I don't expect him to be in the Portuguese World Cup squad, but you never know with a decent amount of form. And I might be wrong, Jess, but I think he's in that weird kind of scenario like him, Nelson, Lokonga, Tavares previously, where you're at the club, but you're not at the club. Then you're at the club, but not at the club. You need to go somewhere you got some stability and you're there for a couple of years.
Yeah, 100%. I think he is a hard sell. And most of the players that we're trying to sell are hard sells.
Yeah, even if they're half decent, they're on big wages.
Yeah, they're hard to sell. And I know people were like, oh, well, Kwanzaa, what's his name? His name Kwanzaa? From
The Liverpool one that went
And
Leverkusen.
they were like, oh, well, you know, if they can get this amount, I'm like, do you guys realize that Kwanzaa was on like 20,000 pounds a week? Zinni is on way more than that.
We need to
And
start doing that kind of stuff, though, man.
yeah, of course.
Long
Like
term.
we need to keep the wages of the squad players, like the lower squad players, not, you know, the people like the Trossards necessarily, but like the Reece Nelsons and players like that. They really shouldn't be on these wages that makes them so hard to shift because they're like the third option in their position. So yeah, but Zinni is a hard sell. You know, Lokonga, hard sell, Vieira, hard sell. So people are like, oh, we can get 90 million from our sales. I'm like, no, probably not. You know, like I don't think we can get that amount.
Where's that coming from? You know what? Could probably just about scrape that, if that. Like, but that's almost that's assuming almost, in my opinion, every player that we want to go leaves. Like what? That'd be Trossard, hopefully get 20 mil. Fabio Vieira, what, 10, 15?
Yeah.
That
Maybe
who else
if
is
lucky.
leaving?
If they don't
Probably
ask
got
for
8 million for Tavares already.
yeah, it's just not that much, is it? You know,
Zinni,
Zinni, he was on the market for like 12 million.
that.
That's
Carlheim,
pennies.
probably a couple mil. Nelson, 10. Lokonga, 7, 5, something. Fire sale.
Yep.
Yeah, nah, I don't know. Nah. Yeah, no, we'd probably not get 90.
Yeah, we're most likely not getting 90.
No, I'm trying to think who gets flogged, man. I'm genuinely
Yeah,
trying to.
Trossard will probably bring in the most, and that's still like what 20, something like that.
Yeah, man. So it is what it is. People, we've been provided an update. Like we might be going to Jess's channel. I don't have a link though.
No, I am gonna send you a link for sure. Give me 2 seconds. But
Professional.
also, you guys, if you didn't get a chance to see after me and Deluded go live, we did a call-in last night, and it was so funny. Like, it was the best copium therapy that you could get after the Madueke news. So if you guys get a chance to
I'm
watch
scared
it,
of them things, you know. Like I rate
really,
you, man. I'm
why?
scared because I remember big up tapping toes. I remember he used to do it, yeah, and he used to do it, and it was quite good. He stopped now. He done it one day. Long story short, some guy showed his balls. Like after, I was like, yeah, I ain't trying to, yeah,
Are you
madness.
serious?
I promise
But
you.
I feel like it just depends on what maybe your community is like, because I feel like ours is quite similar.
Yeah, but you got one weirdo. They could infiltrate it and just move weird. Like,
yeah, that's true. That's true. But I mean, everybody was really good and articulated themselves really well, and we had everything from
I saw some uncle there as
yeah,
well.
like everything from it's gonna be fine. He's a really good player to what are we doing? So I actually really enjoyed that actually. So
Yeah,
we should
man.
start
Go check
doing
that out,
more.
people. And
We
we're
should.
going over to Jess's show now. Hi, Jess. We did a calling show yesterday. I was in the chat though. Uncle Knows Arsenal was great. I enjoyed it
He
too.
was so funny. And I was just like, he almost made me believe him. He almost made me believe him that like Noni would be good.
Recruit him to the set, man.
I think he has a channel too. Next time I see him, I'll ask him what his channel is. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. But yeah, we'll go over to my channel.
So yeah, people, we're gonna go continue the chat there. Probably gonna go over all of this again and some other unique quality content that Jess has. So yeah,
more
go join us.
Though, you know, more professional, you know.
You know what? I'll let you have that one, man. I'll let you have that one. Anyways, people, go over to Jess's stream immediately. People will catch you in a bit, man.